What's up, everybody? It's Mac from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and today I've got my first new review since Wind River. Sorry about that. And it's Stronger, the Jake Gyllenhaal biopic about Jeff Bowman, who is a Boston marathon bombing survivor, and based on the book written by Jeff Bowman. Also starring Tatiana Maslany, Miranda Richardson, and Lenny Clarke, directed by David Gordon Green. Green's directed a bunch of different films. He definitely does not like to stick to one genre. He can direct something like Pineapple Express, or he can direct something like All the Real Girls. Just a varied director. He usually sticks to indie films, though. Not a lot of big budget studio films. Not that this is a big budget studio film. This is very much an indie film. We will get into that. So Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be one of those actors now who is just everything he does is great. He's Tom Hanks now. He's just that actor that every single performance Gyllenhaal is going to give, at least on some level, is an Oscar-worthy performance. And he's going to get snubbed a lot because of that. I don't know if he's going to get snubbed for Stronger. It's a September movie. He really has to keep the pace up for a long time in order to make it into that final five, but anything can happen. I thought he was great in this. It may not be my favorite performance from Gyllenhaal, but it's definitely one of his best. He's, he really just took a lot of care in crafting this role, and playing somebody who's still alive and was involved in the making of the film. And that's something I have to say, like, for me with biopics, when we make a biopic of somebody who's still alive, I'm like, why are we doing this? Because I feel like we don't want to show the nasty stuff. We don't want to show that somebody was too dark or too depressed or anything like that at any point in their life while they're still alive, because then those people have to sort of live with the repercussions of what we play out on screen. And I get that. And I felt that way with The Theory of Everything. I felt like we didn't really get to know Stephen Hawking because they were worried about, hurting his reputation while he's still alive. Here, I felt like Jeff Bowman definitely gave us several moments of real darkness, of his character's worst moments, of his worst moments, and let us in a little bit into what he was actually feeling and going through, and that certainly helped Gyllenhaal's performance, because he actually got these really rangy moments and scenes in the film that he might not have gotten if Bowman was more reserved about showing certain things. So Tatiana Maslany is really good here too. She plays Erin, the on-again, off-again girlfriend, and we see her go through a lot of guilt because he was at the marathon not as a runner, but to try to win his on-again, off-again girlfriend back and support her. So she definitely wrestles with a lot of guilt, and also this love for somebody who, obviously they like each other. They've, broken up and gotten back together, a bunch of times before the bombing. So just sort of wrestling with that. And she has a few good moments too. The performance that kind of blew me away, that nobody's really talking about, is Miranda Richardson as his mom. I didn't know a lot about Stronger going into it, and I didn't know Miranda Richardson was in this. So, I saw the character, and I was like, man, that actress looks a lot like Miranda Richardson. But it didn't look like Miranda Richardson, and it didn't feel like Miranda Richardson. It just kind of looked like maybe it was Miranda Richardson, but as the movie progressed, halfway through the movie, I had to stop in the middle of the theater, pull up my phone, and go on IMDb, and I had to know. I was like, man, is that Miranda Richardson? Like, she's so good. Like, it's talk about losing yourself in a role. Like, I haven't just wow. Man, I haven't seen that in a long time. I have not seen somebody just so completely gone into a role like that in a while. The only problem is she doesn't have that like big showy scene. So even though her whole role is impressive, are people, not as impressed because she doesn't have that like one moment where she just breaks down and sobs or screams at the camera or something? Like, that's kind of unfair because I thought she was just terrific the whole time. So definitely the pros of this film are the acting. Like, other than the feeling that you get from learning about Jeff Bowman, the other huge positives are the performances. This is a film to watch because you like watching actors who can act. As far as the story goes, it's not a bad film. It's a somewhat directionless and somewhat meandering film. And I will say that I think the film just needed some time trimmed because I was committed to these characters. Like, these characters kept me in for a long time. I didn't notice the running time of the film. I didn't start feel the exhaustion from watching it and from it just like seemingly going on, and you're like, is this ever going to reach the end? Until, maybe 20 minutes before the movie's supposed to be over anyway. So I was committed to most of the film, but somewhere around, the 2-hour mark of being in the theater, because you were watching previews before the movie, so around the 2-hour mark of me being in theaters, I was like, okay, when is this gonna end? Ever? It has a tendency to, because the film is more about his recovery and not necessarily plot driven in that a normal film, where you have like a hero and a villain and they clash, and then in the end the hero beats the villain, or we find out who the murderer was or something. This film is just sort of just about it. At any point you could raise the flag and say, he's recovered, yay, end of film. And so you're kind of waiting for that moment. This is such an interesting concept because it could have worked either as a film or like a TV series. This is something that if they really wanted to show us his recovery, it could have easily been anything from a miniseries to a multi-season event. I feel like we could have gotten to know Jeff Bowman through very different mediums. His story could have been told in a bunch of different ways, and because of that, I think they didn't quite know how long was too long or how long it needed to be. And I'm sure the cut of the film felt good to the people who made the film, because I would have had the same problem. I would have been like, what scene do I cut? Because Jake Gyllenhaal is so good in all of them. The problem was they were shot in the first place. The problem is more with the writing, with the screenwriting of the film is giving the director way too much to shoot. Because once he shot it, and Jake Gyllenhaal is amazing like that, you can't really, it's hard to cut it, because then you're like, well, what if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination? What if that scene that I cut costs him an Oscar nomination? Because, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not necessarily mad at the film about it, but I do have to say that the film does, for me, run longer than it needed to. I'm not even really sure I know of a solution to that problem, except it was a problem that they had from the beginning, I think, and I'm not really sure that they knew how to fix it in the end. But it's not a huge thing, just a little thing. Jake Gyllenhaal's great, Tatiana Maslany's great, Miranda Richardson's amazing. If you are at all interested in a story of survival, a person who doesn't feel like they're a hero but keeps being told that they're a hero, and sort of his recovery and self-discovery and coming to terms with what happened to him and that whole journey, then Stronger is a movie that you'll enjoy. It's not like Patriots Day, very different tonally. So I'm going to go ahead and give Stronger a B+. Yep. It was a little longer than it needed to be. But overall, I enjoyed it. It's weird to say I enjoyed watching it, but I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jeff Bowman, that your story was something I enjoyed. I did. I liked it, but it's because I like good acting. I can watch a movie that is not, quote, enjoyable, but I enjoy the acting. And that was what I enjoyed about this film, was seeing Gyllenhaal, Maslany, and Richardson all at the top of their game, slaying it. And that is the reason you should watch this film. If you like good acting, watch Stronger. All right? Hoping to get up another review tomorrow. Not going to tell you what it is, but hoping to get another review up this weekend. So until then, peace out.